Hey everyone, I hope everyone's having a great day. I am joined today by Jessica Freeman. She never expected her path from classical organ performance to entrepreneurship would lead her into the world of crypto taxes, but here we are. But once she saw how overwhelmed investors were, she knew she had found her calling. Drawing on 2 decades of investing experience and her own entry into crypto in 2021, Jessica built beta virtual assistants to help crypto investors organize, understand, and report their transactions with ease. Today, as a crypto tax certified strategist, she teaches clients how to avoid costly mistakes and take control of their financial future. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
So good to have you. So let's get right into it. That's quite the transition from something very niche to something else very niche. So from classical organ performance to running a crypto tax business, something maybe a lot of people have a hard time connecting the dots there. What was that moment you realized, hey, this isn't just interesting for myself to learn, but something I need to pursue to help others?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I started off being classically trained as an organist and moved from there into teaching piano students and uh, substituting with organ for churches and playing for churches, running choir directing on all that stuff. That was a long time ago now. And I was getting really bored because I was sitting there with the piano lessons every week and they never, I don't know, if you were a better piano student than I was, but piano students don't practice. And I was really sick of sitting there while people just wasted my time basically. And I was wondering if there was something I could do. My kids were getting ready to flee the house. They were all going to be, two of them were going to be exchange students basically. And it was right before COVID hit. And I was like, what can I do with that third one? And so I decided, why don't we start a business? And I had taught myself how to do bookkeeping for the Music Teachers Association and a couple other groups here in town. And so I started doing that, and then COVID hit, the kids flew back home, and suddenly we have a house of people again doing all the crazy stuff and trying to do school long distance and all those things. So it got a little bit dropped, but eventually I was trying to figure out how to do this online thing, and I could not find anything that I really enjoyed, like affiliate marketing and all the things you can do. You can create all these things, which was always exciting, but I never got a really good handle on it. And one day I took this course on crypto investing, and realized that nobody knew about the crypto tax part. And they had a presentation with someone who said, this is the software you use and this is how you use it. And we'll give you a discount on the software if you buy our $500 course. And I was like, why would I buy $500 to get less than that discount? Like, that didn't make sense to me. So I ended up working with a partner, and we decided to offer our own course. So we created a little course on how to do the crypto taxes. And then we started teaching people how to do it. And then we started doing it for people, which people really like because nobody wants to figure out the complications of that stuff. So that's led me to where I am now, where I still do the piano teaching and I still do a little bit of organ playing once in a while when people call me up. But mostly I focus on helping people really understand the intricacies of tax planning, especially involving crypto.
Nice. So it sounds like you found a niche that nobody had targeted yet, which is perfect. And you went after it. So not many people are doing that, which is great. Really helps you stand out, right? Yeah. Would you say I think about crypto. I took piano later in life, so I tried learning the piano at 21. It was horrible. I think I cried after every lesson because I didn't know anything, and it was bad. I'm like, how am I supposed? I have one brain, and you're telling me I have to, this hand has to do one thing, and this hand has to do another thing. How do I do that? So it did not go well. But my kid's in piano now, and yes, I have to bribe him to practice. So
100%.
far the bribery is working, but we'll see how long that lasts. But would you say that from your experience in teaching piano and being an organist, was there any transferable skills that you moved over from that to what you do now?
Definitely, because I do have that teacher like I want to teach. I want to share people. I love teaching. My favorite piano lesson is the first one because we get to teach the kids the names of the keys.
Oh,
In 5 minutes, you could teach them all the names of the keys, and it sticks for the rest of their life. And then the bad part of piano lessons is that after that, you have to get the fingers to work and cooperate. And that's the part that nobody wants to do. And that's the part you have to practice for. And that's like the depressing, mundane, everyday, boring, yuck. Like nobody wants to do that. But I take that. I really do love teaching people. I love explaining how things work, especially when I figured it out first. Like I love figuring out when crypto doesn't make sense. Like we'll get all this information imported into somebody's software for the tax reporting, and we'll go, now what happened here? And then we can like put the pieces together until it tells the right story. That's my favorite part because you can be like, oh, I see. You sent this there and this happened and then this happened. And now we've got it telling the right story instead of just like this random chaos of there's some crypto. So I love teaching. I actually run a blockchain challenge, a wallet challenge every month. And I love teaching people, not like I don't tell you what to buy because
right.
I have the best track record with my personal crypto investing has been like I bought Bitcoin when it was at a high and right before 2018 when it spent the entire year crashing, and then I sold it at the very lowest point. So it's like I always tell people, I'm not going to tell you what to buy, but if you want to know how to push the buttons, I love teaching that. So I have people come into this blockchain challenge and I say, okay, here's the app and this is what it looks like and this is how you do it and this is how you troubleshoot when things go wrong, and really helping them understand like all the things that look scary and maybe don't need to be scary and the things that don't look scary but you should worry about. So I love teaching. So that has definitely come over.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a problem solver and probably good at math. And because I mean, piano is very mathematical, I found.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love spreadsheets. I love math. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is probably why my brain just doesn't connect with the crypto thing or the piano thing, because I'm a creative, but I'm like whatever side of your brain is math is like that side of my brain has checked out. Pretty much. I'm creative in other ways, but the math side is not it for me. But was there any early signs as a kid that you were like, uber curious or like, trailblazer or, wanting to kind of do things differently than the crowd? That kind of
Yeah, pretty much all
that,
that.
all that stuff is
I was the kid who didn't have a lot of friends. I was the kid in the corner who was always reading a book and was really good at piano, and everybody kind of assigned me that role. I always went to really small schools with really small classes, so I just was like kind of the outsider, and I just loved math so much that I ended up in high school. I ended up doing the math. I don't know how this happened, but I ended up doing the math so much faster than everyone else that I was the only one who took calculus as a senior. And so I was doing independent self-study with calculus, which backfired when I got to college because they let me into college and they said, oh, we saw you did calculus in high school. Do you want to take this advanced calculus where we do like basically the entire high school curriculum in one semester? And then you get twice the credits and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then I got into it and I was like, oh, I don't really understand calculus as much as I thought I did. And then I got a boyfriend and I didn't keep up with the homework. And it was like, oh my God. So that was the end of my math career. But I did love math until that point, and I loved teaching it to my kids who all swear they hate math. Well, one of them says he likes math, but the other two are like, oh, we can't do math. And like my son, he was going to be a meteorology major for about the first month of his college career. And then he's like, there's too much math. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So yeah. Boyfriend or math,
Yeah.
easy choice for me, but oh man. So would you say, do you feel like you have to be good at math to be a crypto investor? And
No.
do your own tax? No.
No, most of the people who come to us are not necessarily good at math. We get a couple of people who are like, "Oh yeah," because we have a do-it-yourself track and then we have a
Yeah.
done-for-you track. So the do-it-yourself track, they can we have the tutorials and everything, takes it through the and we have Q&A calls that they get their questions answered when they get stuck and all that stuff. And there are some people who come through and they're like accountants and they're like tax preparers already. They just need the crypto part put together and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got this." Oh, yeah, I just needed a couple of pointers or whatever. And then we've got the people who are like throwing spaghetti at the wall and they're like, "Oh, I heard about this crypto thing. Okay, I want to buy some crypto." And they like follow whoever guru like ended up in their inbox, right? And so they'll buy a whole bunch of things and then they'll be like, "I have no idea what I did." And then they'll hand it over to us and we'll clean it up for them. And then at the end of the day, they could be like, "Oh, okay, this is what I give my tax preparer. This is like everything's clean, everything's put together." And yeah, but most people don't really they don't need to be good at math. It's just like buying a stock. I mean, if you're interested in Apple, you go buy some Apple stock and you hope that the price goes up. And it's kind of a lot of the same with half the crypto investors. And then the other half get into the complicated stuff that are like, but they're usually following somebody who says, "Do this,
Right.
next do this." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the spaghetti at the wall person. I have some crypto, but not enough to like make or break anything, right? Like,
Right.
because it's a bit scary for me. My husband did really well with crypto. He's more risk taking, which kind of is, it's a thing with men, as and the difference in men and versus women investing, I think they're a lot more risk taking usually. But he did quite well, but he just reads and researches that stuff.
Right.
For me, it's a little boring, but so I'd rather like take a course or have someone, hold my hand while I do it. So are most of the clients you work with kind of, I mean, I know you're not into helping with investments, although you have a small portion of like a course that you teach, which is kind of like helping them just get over the fear of, the computery stuff and whatnot. But are most of your clients like super experienced or kind of like me, like spaghetti at the wall or
There's
what?
a good mix. There's some who
Yeah.
are super experienced. We've got one guy who's major into crypto. He's been into crypto since like 2012, and he has just like you wouldn't believe what he has. It's like really fun to work with his accounts, except for he also doesn't like to tell you what he did. So it's a logic puzzle for me. I love logic puzzles. So I'll go into his accounts and I'll be like, "Okay, what did you do now?" And I'll do some blockchain research and I'll be like, "Ah, I see. You did this really complicated thing and then this happened and then oh, look, it came back." And it's just crazy. But most people, I mean, even me, when I got started, I was self-taught investor in stocks and options trading, especially. I love options trading. But when it came to crypto, I was so scared to get into it because it sounded so hard. And at that point, it was that the first thing I bought was like an ETF, which is um, the exchange traded funds, which you can buy through your stockbroker. So you don't have to figure out there's a crypto
Okay.
exchange and there's secret keys and there's like, all that stuff is like, sounds scary. And so I bought this ETF and of course it went straight down the whole year I held it, but it took me buying a course that it was like, in fact, I went to the webinar for the course and I was supposed to be an affiliate selling this course, right? And I go to the webinar and the first 20 minutes, usually when I buy a course or when I go to a webinar, I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm interested in that. And yeah, I'll buy it, but I'll put it off till the last possible day and make sure it goes on the next credit card cycle kind of thing." But this course I went to and the presentation was so intriguing and it was like they were going to teach me actually how to actually do crypto, which I had wanted to do, but I had no idea. And took like 20 minutes into this webinar, I was like, "Here's my money. Like, take my credit card. I want to be in." So I certainly get that like people who get into crypto, so many of them are doing it through a course because
Okay.
you just need that guidance of how to push the buttons so you don't get scammed, how to recognize scams, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah. And so most people have done some investing, like regular, just stock market stuff, investing usually through someone like a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Um, how would you suggest people get into crypto? Would you suggest that they go that route first, or do the course thing? Or I don't know if there are advisors out there who can help you with
Yeah, well, there's more
crypto.
and more coming now
Yeah.
because crypto is sort of coming into the mainstream, and they are having those investment. The platforms are all like Fidelity and Vanguard. They're all starting to add crypto offerings, and so it's getting a lot easier to get into crypto, where you can just go in and say, "I want to be exposed to Bitcoin," and you buy an ETF and your stock brokerage, and everything is taken care of for you. You don't really have to worry about it. But I usually recommend that people to start just buy a little bit of Bitcoin and just watch it. Like
Yeah.
just like it's because it's so interesting. Like I had somebody who bought like I think $500 of Bitcoin, and she was in my blockchain wallet challenge, and she was like, "Oh my God, the Bitcoin fell," and she'd lost like $5 because $500 really, even though Bitcoin goes way up and way down, $500 isn't going to lose that much
No.
up or down. And she was like panicking. Oh no, should I sell? Should I sell? And I'm like, no, if you believe the story that they're telling us, which who knows if they're right. Bitcoin could be worth $1 million in a couple years. It could be worth $0. Like my feeling is I want to put enough in that if it goes up, I can benefit from that. But if it goes down, it's not gonna it's not my rent money, it's not my
Right.
groceries or whatever.
Exactly.
So I always advise people to buy a little bit of Bitcoin because they're the main safest
Mhm.
to invest in, and then just watch what happens. And if you
Mhm.
can to do that dollar cost averaging, which is where you're like, okay, I actually have dollar cost averaging set up that it automatically deducts from my bank
Oh,
week.
right. Yeah.
And then it buys, I think I have $15 of Bitcoin every day.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the last 2 years, 3 years that I've been in crypto, it's like I have $15 of Bitcoin when it was at 120,000. I have
Mhm.
$15 when it was at 60,000, and over time it kind of averages out. Over time, hopefully it'll go up in value eventually. But in the meantime, I'm not sitting there worrying about it going, oh my God, I want to buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, but if I buy $10,000 today and it's at 120,000 and then next week it's at 80,000, I'll be like,
How are you gonna feel about
"Ah."
that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, there's a lot of, potential for reward, but there's also a lot of potential for risk, and that's, I think, why someone like me, I'm sort of risk averse in
right.
that way. So it's I have a little bit like your client, I'm like that, and I've watched it. It's been, a good year and a half or something, and it's like, yeah, you can see what it's doing, but it's not stressing me out because it's not like my life savings, right?
Right, exactly.
Another thing I hear about, and I don't know what it is, but maybe you can explain it, is like, what is a stable coin? What is that? And is it better to have that or not?
If you want to make money, a stable coin will not help you because
Okay.
a stable coin is actually 1 to 1 US dollars usually.
Mm.
So it's the way you can transfer money in and out of the other cryptos without losing value, right? So if you buy some Bitcoin, it goes up, it goes down. It's like up and down every single day. If you buy USDC, which is a stable coin, it's supposed to stay at $1
Oh,
so that you can trade when Bitcoin is worth a lot and you want to like harvest that, you sell it into USDC and then you wait and then Bitcoin drops and then you buy some Bitcoin in
I
using your
see.
USDC. The interesting thing about trading crypto is every single time you buy, you're trading one crypto for another crypto.
Yeah.
So when you go buy a stock, you're trading your US dollars for Apple stock. And then when you're done with the stock, you sell it back to US dollars. But with
Right.
crypto, you're often trading from a stable coin into Bitcoin, or maybe some of the other ones, the big ones like XRP or Ethereum or any of those. And those are also volatile that they figured out, when we're sending payments to people, because supposedly we can do this, right? We can send our payments anywhere in the world, but if those payments are in Bitcoin and when you're sending the payment from 1 minute it's worth this and
Right.
it's worth this, that's not going to work. So they invented stable coins to
Okay.
maintain that, like I can send you $100 and it will arrive being $100 when it gets to you.
I see. And then you could use that to just put it into Bitcoin right away
Right.
or whenever you feel.
you can keep like cash reserves. They always say, have some cash on the side. So if the market crashes, you can buy some. So you keep your cash reserves in a stable coin so that it doesn't fluctuate in value while you're waiting.
Yeah, because I don't know if you're hearing this, but the the US dollar and which everything is tied to the US dollar worldwide. But it is losing like 10% a month or something. I was listening to another crypto expert and he was saying that the US dollar is losing like 10% a month. So it's like, well, how do you save and how do you keep up with that? Because investments, like my investments, yeah, they do pretty good, but it's still like 19%. So really, if the dollar's going down 10, I'm really only making 9%.
Right.
So it's like, is my money better off in crypto, or is that too scary? Are people really using this? Like, I don't know if crypto came out initially to be a currency and now it's turned into more of an investment, or like, what do you think about that?
It's kind of both. Like there's people who believe that Bitcoin is digital gold, and that actually works against it being a currency, because if you're going to buy, a Netflix subscription, you don't want to necessarily pay for it with Bitcoin. We accept crypto for payments in our business, for our services. And this guy bought our do-it-yourself course, and he sent me the payment in Bitcoin. Well, the provider that he sent it through automatically converted it into a stable coin so that it wouldn't fluctuate in value. And they're like trying to be nice to me. And I'm like, I'd rather have Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But they automatically converted it. And then the next month, this was last year, right after Trump was elected, and Bitcoin shot straight up.
Mhm.
And this guy realized that if he held on to that Bitcoin, it'd be worth more. And he realized that he had held on to it long enough that I think he was based in Germany or someplace. So he wouldn't have to pay taxes on it if he sold it at this point, because he'd held on to it so long, except he'd given it to me. And so then he was like, oh, no, wait, I changed my mind. I don't want to take your course. I want my Bitcoin back. And I was like, well, I don't actually have the Bitcoin. I can send you, I can convert the stable coin that you sent me into Bitcoin, and I can send you that, but it's going to be less than you started with. And he's like, yeah, do that. But and you don't want to just do this. So it took us a couple of days of going back and forth. Like, are you sure you want me to do this? And
Right.
yeah, that he ended up like losing even more because I was trying to make him happy. So yeah, what the other interesting thing about investing in crypto is there's all these things out there, and these are the people we help the most. Is they get into this stuff, they call it DeFi. So DeFi is decentralized finance, and there's all these things that you can do to park your money in that earn interest or earn some kind of reward for parking it in. Like there's people who help validate the Ethereum network. And so what that means is you park your Ethereum in a special place, and your Ethereum is used somehow, kind of like ransom or something, to kind of support the network and help record the things and whatever. And because your Ethereum is parked in there, you earn Ethereum back. So eventually you can pull your Ethereum back out. But there's a lot of people that we work with who are doing these sorts of DeFi strategies where they'll park two things. They call these liquidity pool things. They take like two coins. They'll take some Bitcoin and some USDC or something, and they'll put it into a pool. And then other people can borrow from that pool. And when they borrow from that pool, they pay you a little bit of interest, kind of thing. Eventually you take out your original investment and supposedly you have more. And that doesn't always work, and there's all these risks, and there's all these cryptos that go down, and all this crazy stuff. But a lot of our clients are doing things like that to kind of help.
Yeah, there's so many smart things out there. Like I just saw something, I don't know if it's real, but I saw something on maybe Instagram or something like that. But it's like it's a box thingy that mines crypto. And we know those things get hot, right? It mines while it's mining crypto, it's also heating your water.
Right.
Like water tank heater is so smart and it pays for itself, right?
Right. And there's all these people who complain about the environmental impact of Bitcoin because they're like, oh my gosh, there's all these computers and they're creating all this heat mining the Bitcoin. But there's so many places that they've set up things like that where they can use the heat from the miners to dry seaweed in a factory in Norway or someplace like that, or they'll use the Bitcoin. They'll use the oil spumes or whatever when they aren't harvesting the oil. They'll use them to run Bitcoin miners, and I'm like Bitcoin miners can actually solve some of our environmental problems, but a lot of people are like, wow, no, it uses so much energy, it's so intensive. And it's like, well, okay, we do know how much energy it's using because it's all blockchain and it's all very open, but how much energy does the airline industry use? How much energy does the banking industry use? And we just have no idea because it's like behind closed doors.
Yeah, we need to put these to the creative problem solvers, and there's always a way around something if you're creative enough, right?
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so getting back to, like, you talked about getting paid in crypto. So, we talked a little bit about, is it a currency? Is it an investment? And it kind of sounds more like an investment to me because of how people like kind of hoard it like gold, like you're saying, it's like digital gold. But if entrepreneurs, and I see some businesses out there, they accept crypto or other, Bitcoin or other crypto as payment. But if an entrepreneur like me, I'm a solopreneur, if I want to, I'd love to get paid in crypto, like in Bitcoin especially, right? If we want to start accepting stuff like that in our business, what are some of the things we should start thinking about there? What are some of the risks and maybe
Well,
that we might make?
yeah, so there's risks. Like if you're accepting any crypto, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, those can go down in value. And so there's a really big risk of getting paid something and then it goes down in value for a long time. And you're like, so, you made 1,500, but now it's worth 1,000. And you're like, you can't sell it because there's all that. So Coinbase actually offers a service where you can set up Coinbase Commerce, and they create a wallet for you, and then they set up a little storefront basically, so they provide all the buttons, so your customer just goes and picks your item and says, I want to buy, and then they offer a whole bunch of different cryptos, so customer can purchase in basically whatever major crypto that they have, which is great. But then Coinbase decided that, the risk of the going down in value is too much. So they automatically convert it into a stable coin for you.
Oh, I see.
So then you're kind of stuck with like, okay, I got paid in Bitcoin, but now I have USDC. On the other hand, it's kind of a good thing. And there's actually other companies like that. I believe Stripe is now helping you do crypto transactions, but again, they're converting them into a USD or whatever. And maybe PayPal too sometimes. So there's like, you can work with one of these providers that kind of provides the rails for you, and they'll provide the invoices and they look legitimate and all this stuff that makes you look good. Or you can do it the other way, which the other part of that is they take out their management fees. And of course, we all know when you have a credit card, you're receiving payments through Stripe or whatever, they're taking that percentage of all your fees, and that's annoying. So we actually do have some people, because I know more about crypto, I do have people pay me directly. And then in that case, they're sending me whichever coin they want to send. I give them an address, they send it directly to my wallet, and all they're paying is the gas fee. So the gas fee is the fee that is paid to just record it on the blockchain. Okay. And usually that's very little, pennies, a couple dollars maybe, instead of that 3%. So when I get paid, sometimes like if I'll get paid at $1,500, they're spending like, depending on the network they send it on, pennies to send it to me, and I get the whole thing. So it's kind of like, when people pay you with a check or with cash and you're like, yes, I get to keep the whole
thing. Yeah.
So it depends how comfortable you are with these things. Like if you can get comfortable using a blockchain wallet, like I teach in my little challenge, then you can just share your address. It's just like it's a string of letters and numbers that leads to your wallet, and your wallet is really just your way to access the crypto on the blockchain, which lives, in the ether or whatever. And so you share this public address, and it's just like sharing your house address, so someone can mail you a check. and they paste that into their thing. They say, I want to send Jessica $1,500, and boom, seconds later, usually within just a couple minutes, I have the money. I didn't have to pay fees to Stripe and
Yeah, that's
all of
nice.
that. So it can be a good thing, but it's also a little bit riskier, like just learning the basics of it.
Yeah, you can lose your money. I think if you send to the wrong wallet, get a number wrong, get a letter wrong, that's certainly a
Exactly.
risk, right?
Yeah.
Is there any risks in sharing your wallet address? Like if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm working with a client and I'm like, here, this is my wallet number.
So the biggest risk is it's public. So if they have your string of letters and numbers and they know it belongs to you, they can go spy on it. And they can
Oh,
be like, oh, Jessica's receiving a lot of money in that wallet, or maybe she has a lot of money sitting in that wallet or whatever. But that's really the biggest risk. They can't ever access your stuff without
yeah.
your passwords and all that stuff that's living hopefully with you, and you don't ever share it with anybody.
Okay. So it's because it's on the blockchain. That's why it's
Right.
public record. Okay.
Right.
Because we want to see what's going on, have that transparency, and that's how it all works, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's talk about. So I've paid someone. No, I'm just saying, like, if this is the scenario, I've paid you in Bitcoin now by doing the wallet transfer. Now, can I make that show up on my taxes as an expense?
Sure.
Or how does that work? Yeah. So,
Yeah, depending, of course, it has to be a taxable expense, but
well,
as long as
of course, for
right,
business or something like that. Yeah.
right. If you're paying me and it's a business expense, absolutely. And then that's where you can contact the business owner and say, can you send me an invoice?
Okay.
So you'll have a record on the public blockchain. This is the transaction I sent, and this is how much it was worth. And then usually, what we'll do for our clients who pay in crypto is we'll send them an invoice and say, we received this much Bitcoin and it was worth this much and on this date, and basically your sales receipt.
Okay. So it's like a cash or credit card transaction. It's
Yep.
still workable that way. Okay. What would you feel is the biggest or most dangerous crypto tax myth that's out there that entrepreneurs should be wary of?
The biggest one I hear all the time is that crypto, you don't need to report to the government. Like,
Okay.
so many people believe, oh, it's crypto. The government doesn't know what's going on. I just won't tell them. And that's like really dangerous because the public blockchain is public. And
Yeah.
like, so most of the transactions are recorded on the public blockchain if you have a wallet. So if you're interacting directly with the blockchain, it's going to be in the wallet, it's going to be public. And if the IRS or whoever, your Canadian, you
Yeah.
know, authorities or whatever,
Mhm.
if they figure out that you are connected to that wallet that has $1 million and you never reported it, then they have every right to come after you, especially here in the US. The first question on the tax form after your name, address, social security number is, did you dispose of any crypto assets? Did
Oh,
you receive
really?
any crypto assets you didn't purchase? Right. So they want you to report. Even if you answer yes and don't provide information about it, that's better than saying no and having had crypto that you disposed of, especially at a gain, and not reporting it. So
Right.
the biggest myth is always the people, like there are so many people out there that I run into who are kind of anarchist, and they're like, we're just not going to report it. We're going to do everything in crypto because, we can. The problem is that the centralized exchanges, if you so a centralized exchanges like Coinbase and Gemini and crypto.com and all of those companies that have people that the government can go knocking on their door and say, we saw Jessica Freeman has an account in your business. Can you show us, her records or whatever? And so and now the centralized exchanges are actually required to report their tax stuff as of January 1st, 2025. They were required to accumulate it, and then as of this year, going for the 2025 season, they're actually required to send the information directly to the IRS. So now the IRS gets information that says, oh, Jessica, disposed of some crypto in her Coinbase account. Now, if she doesn't report that, they can come after me. And they can also go to the centralized exchange and say, $1 million came into Jessica's account. Where did that come from?
Mm.
Coinbase can say, yes, it came from this address. And then they look in that address and I've got $10 million, And so there's like, if they can connect you to a centralized exchange, which has to do the know your customer and all that stuff,
Yeah.
so they know who you are, and then they can connect the dots and say, oh, look, Jessica's sending all this money to these other places and she didn't tell us about any of it, then they really can come after you and create a lot of problems, I think.
So over here, I think we get like little slips. I don't know what they're called, but little like when you have investments, you get these slips from the investment companies that
Right.
kind of say what happened, and it's the line item you got to put into your tax form and stuff like that. You probably
Yeah.
get those too for crypto, right?
As of this year.
Oh, I see. So that's what you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it a little bit easier then, I guess, to know what the heck you're doing, or maybe it doesn't paint the full picture.
It doesn't,
Okay.
because this is the thing is like, I was investing in options at the same time that this transition happened for options, where they didn't have to report options. And then the government comes along and says, oh no, you have to report options. So like the first year they're like, okay, we're reporting this part of the option information, but we're not reporting this part of the information. And then the next year they're reporting this part of the information and this part, but not this part yet. So it took like a 3-year transition where so they would actually report everything. But even then, if you had options existing before that 3-year transition, they wouldn't report on the stuff that happened, even if they knew it. Like the brokerages, they're like, we know how much you paid for this, but we're not telling the IRS that. So then it's my responsibility to go and report that. But the real issue with crypto is so many people move it in and out. So if you're doing all your buys and sells in Coinbase has a statement they send you at the end of the year. They have a statement they're going to send to the IRS or the government that's reporting, and they're going to say, this year they're saying Jessica sold this much crypto. They don't have to report how much I bought it for, though. And if you're reporting how much you sold it for, that's your gains, but your cost basis is like I can buy $1,000 of USDC and I can sell that $1,000 of USDC, and USDC is the stable coin, so it's 1-to-1. So I have no gain. But if the IRS only gets that I sold $1,000 of USDC and they never get the part that says I purchased it, then the IRS says, okay, you owe us a percentage of that as your taxes. So that's the part we really want to make sure that people understand is you need to do your crypto taxes because you want to pay to not over report and make sure that your taxes are telling the right story.
Yeah, because it's all relative to what you bought it for. Like that just makes sense, right?
Right. Like you pay money. Like so many times we'll have clients come in and they'll have forgotten something, that they'll have this mysterious crypto arrive in their wallet. And it's like, okay, you had $9,000 of BNB coin come from somewhere. Where did it come from? And they're always like, oh, I can't remember. And I just give up. And I'm like, no, if we don't report that this came from somewhere, you probably paid something for that. And so then if you don't know where it came from, then we have to report it as income. And then you're paying you have $9,000 of gains added to your taxes. And like, you can't do that.
What about gifting? Is that a thing like with crypto? What if somebody, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Birthday
absolutely.
money for, I don't know.
I think the gift rules work the same way as anything else. Like, there's limits on how much you can gift to a particular person in a particular year and all that sort of thing. But yeah, they still apply.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Let's talk about, because I don't know about you, but I've had to turn on the little screening feature on my phone because I get more scam calls than any other kind of calls. But what kinds of scams and things out there, like crypto safety is what I'm talking about. What kind of scams are out there that we should be on the lookout for?
The biggest ones are really the ones that target everybody, which is the social engineering scams. So the people messaging you randomly on Facebook and making friends with you, the people sending you messages in Telegram and WhatsApp who are like, hey, and some of them, they actually call it pig butchering. They will like target somebody and they'll kind of build up a relationship until you're like trusting them. And then they'll be like, oh no, I need money for this or whatever. And you feel sorry for them and you send them some money. Or they'll say, oh, I got into this investment platform and it's doing really well. And look, and they'll show you like legit looking stuff, and you'll throw some money at it, and then they'll say, oh, a lot of times you'll get added to WhatsApp groups.
Yes, I've
This
had that.
happens to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll have all these people in this WhatsApp group going, oh, Professor Robinson, you're amazing. You're wonderful. I can't believe how much money I'm making with you. And they like, but you can't talk in the WhatsApp group. Have you noticed this? So you're like, okay. And I don't know exactly how they pull you in, but eventually they figure out that you're interested. Maybe you message one of the people who's talking or something. And then they say, oh yeah, you can get invested. And they create a platform that looks legit, like it has all these bells and whistles, and it's like, look, your money is going up in value. And they're like, look, you can make, twice as much if you invest just a little bit more. And they play on your greed, and they all that sort of thing. And then they tell you, you get far enough and you're like, oh, okay, I want to take some money out now. And they will find every excuse not to send it to you. Like, if you invest a little bit more, you'll get a better percentage return rate, or you owe taxes. That's their favorite one, is like, you have to pay the taxes before we can release your funds.
Right.
It's their last ditch effort to get more funds from you. And so those are the bad ones. The other bad ones are the fake websites that you watch out for. So if I was teaching this in the blockchain challenge once, like there's a wallet called Rabby, Rabby. And I believe the correct website is rabby.io. But I typed Rabby into Google Explorer, and the first 3 sites that came up were all like, if you clicked on them, Google Explorer or whoever was like, we think this is a dangerous site. And you're like, because it is a dangerous site. It's these lookalikes that are like, oh yeah, we're sending you that. The other one, the emails that come from people who claim to be, your Ledger wallet or your MetaMask wallet. And first of all, MetaMask doesn't have your email address, so how would they be emailing you? But a lot of these fake-looking web emails that come from, like, I get these all the time from Facebook saying, your ads are going against somebody's
Yes,
you look at the address and it's like some crazy long thing, and you're like, who is this? Or Outlook and Hotmail and all these things, and they're not legit. But if you don't know how to check for these sorts of things, you could very easily fall for it.
Yeah. So I guess, would you suggest going with tried and true platforms like Coinbase and some of these other ones, and then typing the address in correctly as well?
Well, this is the thing. Other thing is like Coinbase, they've had so many data leaks of their customers' info that people will call up pretending to be Coinbase, and they'll send you text messages pretending to be from Coinbase. And I think I read a story just last week about somebody swindled like $2.5 million worth of people. So the thing is to bookmark your sites. So if you are in Coinbase, bookmark it so it's a legit site, and always watch out for like even one letter off in the website can get you, like Coinbase's instead of Coinbase. They'll get you. The example I like to show in the blockchain wallet challenge is Apple, but the L is a 1. Yeah, so it looks really similar. It's just depending on the type. You wouldn't hardly notice it, but it's so similar. And if they throw up, and I've fallen for these. I had an email from Swan Bitcoin, and Swan Bitcoin's a Bitcoin maxi company, which means they only encourage you to buy Bitcoin. They think all the other crypto are crap and going to zero and all this stuff. So they only want you to buy Bitcoin. And I got this email saying that they were offering a new Ethereum airdrop or something like that. And that's not the one I fell for. I got another one that it was like so legit looking that they were going to start offering a new IRA or something, a retirement account or something. And I actually ended up clicking on it, and I went to a website that looked like the one website. And I was like, but it wouldn't quite work. It wouldn't connect with my wallet. Thank God. My wallet was misbehaving that day and it wouldn't connect. And then later my partner was like, Jessica, that was a scam. I was like, I looked at that, but it's so easy because if you're not in the right frame of mind and you're not get this email that says, oh, and it looks legit, and they've got the right logo, and they've got the right, there's no telltale bad English grammar, and you're just like,
I get so many of those. So, and one really bad thing happened to me. It was a bank account, so it wasn't a crypto account, but scammers got to it. I don't know how they got to it. I only had the overdraft protection on it. It was drained to zero. I wasn't using it anymore, but it still had $500 of overdraft. And they bought some things with it. Don't know how that happened. And then they called me. I didn't realize it was them, but they called me from the number that I know, the exact 1-800 number.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. They
Right.
hijacked that number and it showed up as the bank's exact phone number.
Right.
They started talking to me and asking me questions. And then as soon as they started asking me about my credit cards, I was like, nope, you're not the bank. And I hung up
Right.
on them and I called the bank, and you wouldn't believe, they were like predators. They called me like 20 times after that, like in a row. I pressed deny or whatever, cancel the
Right.
call
Right.
over and over and over again. I couldn't believe it. I had never been a victim, but I almost fell for it, like, because that number showed up and I know that number. It was
Right.
exact. I don't know how they do that, but they were getting very creative. So you have to be very careful. And I like your tip about bookmarking the website, or I just use the app. I think I have Coinbase. I think that's the one I use.
Right.
I just use the app and I know it's like on my phone already, and
Right.
But
there. When you're downloading apps, be sure that it's the legit one.
True.
Like, for instance, if you're getting a MetaMask wallet and you go into the App Store, every once in a while they'll put up a fake one. So make sure you're getting the one with, like, thousands and thousands of reviews that people are using it. But especially crypto.com, I feel like there's got to be a bunch of scam apps out there, because people keep saying they got drained, and I'm like, I don't think.
My God. And you think Apple or whoever, Google Play, would do a better job of like vetting these apps for us, but
right.
Got to keep aware, I guess. Well, that's a lot of great information. I know you've got a book out. It's available on Amazon. I'm just gonna put up a little screen grab of it. Tell us about your book here. The Sudoku for crypto enthusiasts.
Yeah, when we started getting into taxes, I love the creative part. Like I said, I wanted to create things in my business. And so I had this software that would help me create Sudoku puzzles, and I replaced all the Sudoku numbers with crypto symbols. So it's the 9 most popular or biggest cryptos at that point. And I turned it into a little book and put it on Amazon. And I don't think many people have bought it, but it's really fun little gift if you want to share it with. It's also in French, because my partner that I was working with is from Canada, and he's very French Canadian. So he translated the directions and things into French, and then I have the directions in English, and then we've got these crypto puzzles that are fun to put together. So.
Oh, that's fun. Well, my husband likes Sudoku as well, so maybe it's a birthday gift for him. But other than that, how can we find and support you online?
Yeah, so you can always email me at jessica@betavirtualassistance.com. You can go to our website, absolutely, and learn more about what sorts of things we offer. And if you reach out to me, I love to, and you don't always know what you want or what you need for your crypto taxes, and like how deep you are in. Like, for instance, if you have just bought some crypto and you've never sold it, you don't actually have to report taxes yet.
Okay.
So you don't need help. But then the people who don't realize that they've gotten themselves into a mess, they need help. So I love to talk with people. And if you reach out to me through email, I can send you my calendar link. And of course, they can join us for the blockchain wallet challenge, where they can learn about the how to do the blockchain. And I think we have a free gift, maybe.
Yes, we do. We even have our own special unique link.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So if you want to learn a little bit about how to get started with your crypto taxes, you can go claim that free guide. And at the end of it, it takes you to a screen where you can book a call with me if you're interested in learning even more. So those are some great ways.
Very good. Well, thank you for that gift. And you did mention I don't know if you still have this person as a business partner, but that he's Canadian. Can Canadians and US people get a hold of you?
Yeah, we actually serve people. Like I said, there was somebody from Germany who bought from us. There's somebody from Sweden. We've had a lot of Australians, New Zealand, UK, Canada, a couple people in Mexico, US. The whole thing is, crypto is the same the world over, and the governments all want you to report, did you sell it? And did you get
Gotcha.
any that you didn't purchase? And so we help you get that organized, and then you take it to your accountant or your bookkeeper or your tax preparer, and they take care of the next part because we've got it all telling the right story.
Gotcha. Okay, so you can help anyone. That is good to know. Good to know. And you've got DIY options, you've got done with you options, and done for you options. So the full gamut there as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. I've learned a lot.
Good.
Hopefully, maybe I can get a little more into it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm going to look into, even though it converts to stable coin, I'm going to look into maybe setting up some Stripe payments for crypto, because why not?
Sure.
Maybe a safer way to get started, and then doing the whole wallet thing later, maybe.
Yeah.
So you've inspired me. So thanks for the chat today, and thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.